Good evening, and thank you all for joining us today. My name is Rashmita, and I'm the event planner for Microsoft Reactor Bengaluru, India. This session will run over the next 60 minutes, including Q&A. The session is being recorded and will be uploaded to our Reactor YouTube channel. I will share the link to our YouTube channel in the chat section soon. Before we begin, please take a moment to read our code of conduct. We are all here to learn together, so please be respectful of other people's views, understanding of differences, being kind and considerate in the way you engage. The chat will be open throughout, and we do encourage you all to participate. Also, please keep your mics muted during the session. I would now like to welcome Jigar, our speaker for today's session. Jigar is partner and senior solution architect with TechScalable and has 16 plus years of experience. He has trained more than 25,000 plus IT professionals across the globe. He is also a Microsoft certified trainer. But for now, I will hand over to Jigar to begin the session. Over to you, Jigar.
Yeah, hi Rashmita. Thanks for the introduction. So hello everyone. I see a couple of questions in chat. So it's more about the learn module. So Krishna, this is basically the ongoing, you can say sessions, but different topic has been targeted. So they are from data, AI, ML, Databricks, machine learning, cognitive services, and all. So yeah, maybe if you like wanted to attend all of them, maybe you just need to follow on the meetup group and then you will get the notifications and invitations. So you just need to join the Bangalore meetup reactor module, and then you will get the notifications and all that, right? So there are a couple of sessions which are dependent on each other, and there are like independent sessions as well. So yeah, I think definitely I can encourage that you should follow along so that you will get a lot of insight about that. So let me share my screen. So today we are planning to talk about classifying. Let me turn off the video so that we can focus on our session. So in this particular section, what we are planning to cover up is that the classification of endangered bird species with Azure Cognitive Services. So basically, this is a kind of activity what we can think through where uh, I mean the rare species basically getting out of the site, and we just wanted to keep a track of it. People who might have clicked the photographs, and we just wanted to make sure that whatever the informations we have, whatever the data we have collected, whether it's matching with the specific birds, we wanted to validate that whether it is exactly the same particular bird what we are planning to track. And yeah, I think based on that we can have this overall machine learning model to be prepared. Yeah. So before getting into this, there are a couple of elements required. So I think there was a question initially that what are the technologies we can use it in this entire activity. So there are machine learning concepts what we are planning to talk about. We will be understanding the machine learning model, how this entire activity looks like, and what kind of options we are planning to follow along with it, right? So in general, if I'm considering my solutions or particular activity from the AI, ML, and all that. So how that works and what kind of like model we are planning to utilize in our particular solution. So in this particular section, we will be using cognitive services custom vision API, right? So that particular custom vision service help us to create certain kind of machine learning model. And in that particular machine learning model, we can provide some particular data as an execution. We can train our model, we can build our model, we can upload the photographs, that what kind of you can say accuracy we are expecting, what kind of precision we are expecting, what kind of like color formations and other things we are expecting to be followed under that particular model. And later stage, when you upload or when you publish such kind of photographs with training that particular model and all, so how we can access that later stage, or what kind of options available. Now the link which you have received in your Microsoft Learn model, so that specific link is something you guys gonna use it in your particular further learning, because there it's a step-by-step activity given how you can create and train your model. If in case any hosting environment required, then you will get some sandbox environment on top of it. Otherwise, in some of the exercise, you might need a dedicated Azure subscriptions to work with it and configure and access the services and all that. But now for this, maybe you will get a particular a sandbox environment, and you can perform this particular learning on top of that. Sorry. So first thing in place, let's understand these three terminology. And you might have heard about these particular three terminology, like artificial intelligence, machine learning, or deep learning kind of thing and all, right? So these are some particular standard term people were using it in industry. So for example, if it's an AI, then it's more about kind of process uh, which is designed to program your particular human intelligence, and it includes certain kind of machine learning at the back end. So basically the idea behind AI is to simplify usage of machine to mimic certain type of human intelligence, right? But AI also offers certain kind of different techniques, and these particular techniques probably you can say focus with the machine learning. Machine learning, I can say, it's a kind of subset of AI, where where any specific what do you say, the query you make, or whatever the data probably you were expecting to be provide certain type of results and all. So you need to train your particular model, right? You need to train your particular data, which is something resulting in a specific output. So in that case, maybe we go ahead and create a machine learning model which basically accepts the data set, and maybe you can provide right data or wrong data, and maybe based on the outcome what we are expecting. And at the end, basically machine learning will create that specific output based on the machine learning model what you have given, the algorithm basically used behind the scene, and then it will give you certain type of result at the end. And it will help you in terms of providing certain type of input, right? So maybe you let's say I wanted to decide, I'm planning to launch a new car model. So how will I go about my pricing? How will I go about my features? What I'm trying to cover up in that? So how can I predict the price of my car? So maybe I can research in market that how many different type of cars are running with the same particular features, same kind of model, same features kind of offerings and all. So probably it will give you some baseline about that, and you can provide your input at the end, and the model which is something trained, it gives you standard output at the end of the day, right? So in terms of the machine learning, basically computer, or maybe the instance where we are running this particular kind of activity, so they uses the answer or the responses which supplied to improve our compute specific task, right, which we are planning to execute at the end of the day. So this particular field of machine learning also includes certain type of deep learning as well. So if I want to consider, then AI built in with machine learning dependent with which includes the deep learning concepts. And deep learning is basically nothing but it's a subset of machine learning. So it is based on a concept of ANNs. So it's artificial neural network. So that basically it's a kind of learning process which basically give you it has a multiple layers, like you can have a input, output, certain kind of hidden business layers, and each layer consists of certain kind of transformations in terms of data what you have provided, right? So in general, uh, the activity of this entire process, if I wanted to articulate, then you can consider this way. uh, Let me have the new file so it will be clear out. So in general, you can consider that you may end up having your a particular three-layer activity, right? So here you can consider that you will get a particular deep learning as an input. Okay, so deep learning is, again, it's a subset of maybe you can say a particular machine learning, right? So here I can consider that there will be a machine learning, and machine learning is basically particular, here I will say it's AI, right? So that way you can have some particular sort of layer based process, and you can build your particular consistent model on top of this particular activity. So behind the scene, if in case any such business use case, if I'm planning to take care of it, then it works effectively with this particular activity. Now, so far, it requires a particular data to train your particular model, and then you get certain kind of functionality to be get out of it, right? So, for example, as I mentioned, that launching a new car model or collecting certain type of data, or providing a raw information, train your model with the business algorithm, and then you get certain type of task to be achieved at the end of the day. So here, what we are planning to use is that we are going ahead with the transfer learning. Okay, so what do you mean by transfer learning? So transfer learning, if I want to consider, here we are going to use as an uh, transfer learning, right? So what is this basically a transfer learning? So here, Azure Cognitive Services, what we are planning to use, specifically custom vision. Okay, so this basically a custom vision. It's a kind of it uses the transfer learning kind of model, and it requires a specific ability that, okay, this transfer learning requires prior knowledge kind of thing to solve the particular problem statement, right? So for example, I can say that, okay, I'm planning to solve a particular this bird issue in terms of the species are getting disappear from the earth. So I just wanted to get this particular data in place. So first thing in place, we should have some particular information in place, right? So we need to figure it out that if is there any prior information available to go ahead and validate that, okay, oh, if it is available, then we should upload or we should manage certain kind of activity, and then we can execute the overall model. We can pre-train our model, and then we can start looking at the result what we are expecting. Okay, so first thing in place, the transfer learning is something, as I said, that it is more about based on the prior knowledge, right? So it is something deriving from your existing information, and out of the box, you need some particular data to be provided to the custom vision, and from that AI particular service, we will get certain kind of transfer learning kind of executions and all. Now, first of all, we need to understand that how this particular entire activity works, what kind of features we are supposed to take care, and how we can transfer this particular component, how we can create that particular activity to be focused and all that. So there are a couple of steps which we are planning to follow in this entire exercise. Okay, so first is that to build this particular transfer level activity, first activity I will be considering that we need a data point, right? And this data point probably we can arrive via asking certain kind of questions, or maybe certain kind of forms or surveys or anything we can collect. So based on that, we will get certain kind of data points, right? That is the first steps if I'm planning to get this particular activity to be done. Second step is always that once you get the data, this data always comes in a specific raw format, right? So what you are expecting, that whatever the raw data you have received into the system, first let's prepare that. Okay, so preparation of the data, how you gonna go ahead and do it? So usually we plan that, okay, whatever the information we have received, maybe I'll just push my data, or I can clean up my particular data into the system and make sure that they are kind of ready to use, right? So we wanted to make sure that whatever the data we are planning to perform, or we are planning to perform the data model on top of it, so we need some certain type of precision on that particular data, right? So whatever the information you are getting, make sure that you have a well defined approach with your data set, because end of the day, this data will become a baseline for your particular machine learning model. So next time onwards, any photographs, any particular image, or any content which you are pushing into the system, based on this particular baseline, it will go ahead with the next step, right? Now, once you have data, once you have information in system, the third step is basically to go ahead with planning the algorithms, right? So you will be going ahead with algorithm to be set. So this algorithm will helpful in terms of identifying that what kind of data set you are going ahead with it, and how that data set is going to be predict, because at the end of the day, you will be uploading some particular response, you will be uploading certain kind of informations what you carry forward, and based on that, this algorithm will work on it, right? So this algorithm is something, you can say, it's a kind of it's a kind of process where I can consider that what kind of image analysis or what kind of data analysis I'm expecting. So that algorithm basically defines the pathway in terms of processing your particular data and making sure that what will be the outcome we are expecting at the end of this particular process. So this will be the baseline what you are comparing in terms of setting up the algorithm. The fourth component is more about, I mean, the steps, what if we need to consider the entire model, then fourth step will be more about, you can say, what will be the model you wanted to follow, right? So in terms of in terms of particular AI/ML model, what we are expecting. So here we will be using custom vision service. Right. So in this particular case, I'll be going ahead with my custom vision service, which helps me to define certain kind of whether my model or whether my photo which I'm uploading into the system, whether it is working perfectly fine, whether it is giving me a satisfactory response from the data what I have prepared. The first three steps what I have went ahead. So if I'm pushing anything as such, so maybe this model is something performing certain kind of activity at the end of the day. So here I'll be using custom vision AI services from the Azure. So that will help me to perform this particular task, right? So it will be keeping it ready kind of activity. And immediately the next step you will be performing is that testing your model, right? Because you have created service, you have configured the custom vision AI. Now the most now the most appropriate activity, maybe if you guys can mute yourself. Yeah. So here we can say that a testing model point of view. Here we will be getting a particular data ingested into the system. So I'll be uploading any particular image, or maybe you can provide some particular data point as in form or anything, whatever you have created. So you provide your information, and testing model is something considering that this is something brand new data, and that's where we are going to capture the informations and it will perform the activity on top of it, right? And last but not least, the sixth step, what I can consider, it's more about deploying deploying the model, right? So here we will be hosting that specific model in terms of cloud. So that model will become a kind of API for your any of the next upcoming activity or next upcoming solution what we are planning to go ahead. Then in such case you can use that. So ultimate goal over here is to provide you a kind of like business driven activity, and it will give you some sort of like standard approach to play around with this entire activity, right? So if I want to define it in a particular step by step way, so here looks like this, where I can say maybe I'll may have some sort of user interaction. Okay, the first step, if I were to consider this way, so maybe I'll be having a particular user interaction, right? And with this particular user interaction, you will be performing the step number one. If I want to consider, you will be performing this particular data model by asking question, right? So that way you can have some particular base data to be prepared into your particular system. So once you get the data, definitely you must be storing this particular information. So either you can have some particular simple database model based application or user interface where people can connect and retrieve this information. So you may have that particular data to be prepared. So once this particular data ingested into the system, I will say that maybe this data going to be prepared and stored somewhere in my system. So I might be going ahead with data preparation activities. So you might be running certain type of, as I said, into the second step, that you will be performing some data preparation, right? So here I might have my data preparation. Right, so this data preparation could be your any AIML or any particular data processing which you are planning to perform. You can consider that, okay, you may have your data process in place. So here I can say prepare data, and in this maybe this algorithm or probably the cleaning of the data, maybe you can take care into the system that this whatever the data I'm pushing it could be possible that whatever the information you have, you provide some particular line of code, and then whatever the processing you are expecting, that is something you can go ahead with this particular data preparation. So you can have your data preparation to be done, the sanitization of your particular data. Once you are in particular process of data processing, so this is my second step if you want to consider, then you will be going ahead with algorithm setup. Okay, so usually what happens that in terms of AI ML point of view, let's assume that you are planning to provide certain kind of built-in algorithms, correct? Because it may be possible that if I wanted to get started, then I need to think about that, how can I create my algorithm from scratch, and probably that could be a time consuming process. Or if I get certain type of predefined algorithm models, then I can ingest into my system and I can get certain kind of information at the end. So maybe you get certain kind of algorithms predefined into the system set, right? So I can say that, okay, oh yeah, I have some particular metrics given, and what I'm looking at it based on this particular metrics, I just wanted to plan my algorithm to be provide me certain kind of input. So maybe I will set my parameters accordingly, that okay, my algorithm is going to be perform certain kind of operational activity. That okay, yeah, I mean, if this is the case, then I will set the parameter. If this is the case, I will set the parameter, and this is the case, I will set the parameter. So in generally, you may have certain type of data format, you may have certain kind of input given, and basically you will be selecting select an algorithm. So this algorithm is something my baseline, that if in case any specific activity which I am planning to perform, then how it looks like. So this is my third step, which is something I'll be defining in my particular activity, that okay, this is a kind of operational stuff I'm expecting to be executed. The fourth important step is something more about selecting a candidate model, right? So candidate model selection is something, you can say it will be offering a kind of workflow based activity, right? So for example, it says that if in case any conditional operation you have it in place, right? So for example, I can say, okay, as soon as my data get ingested into my system, so basically I'm planning to perform certain kind of operational activity, and maybe we can join the dots, right? So here I can consider that this could be my process workflow, and I have a particular mapping of my particular data model. So if data ingested, then there might be certain type of workflows to be triggered, and those workflow may have some sort of data mapping in between, right? So that will help me in terms of transforming my information, having my data to be resulted in certain type of output. And finally, when you have entire machine learning model to be triggered and get certain type of result at the end, the next example is more about testing that specific machine learning model at the end, right? So the fifth step is more about test the model. Now for model testing, what we are looking at it. So usually we need that somebody should go and perform the test, right? So you may have a particular user or maybe the end customer who connects with the system, and they can consider that either they have some applications, they have some particular solutions to be developed, and they will test this particular model at the end of the overall execution what we have. So whatever the data you provide at the end of this model testing, because you need to upload certain kind of photographs, you need to upload certain kind of images at the end, so it will validate based on that, and it will execute that particular workflow at the back of the system. So this is like a kind of step-by-step activity in terms of execution of your particular photographs uploading, training your model, and controlling this particular activity at the end of the day. Last but not least, the final step is something more about publishing this as an API, right? Or publishing as in a final model. So my sixth step is something you can say deploy model. So in terms of deployment, you will be hosting it as an you can say a kind of API or maybe kind of integration. So that will help you in terms of connecting that specific services or calling that particular service. So in case going forward, if anybody upload or push any particular images via custom web applications or custom solutions and all that stuff, then you will have some particular better visibility and calculations of that particular photographs and all. So at the end, this entire particular model going to execute certain kind of process at the end, and you will get a particular precision based image as an output, right? So what are the steps we are going to perform? So this is basically, we can give it a try and we can take a look at it, how this looks or how this works in terms of activity. Okay, so first of all, I will recommend that you should have a particular Azure Sandbox environment to perform this activity. Okay, so here you will get the access to your activity from the beginning, where you will be creating your particular custom model, and here you will get Azure Sandbox environment. Okay, so if you are new to this, or if you're creating first time, then Microsoft is offering around 10 sandboxes, around 1 to 10 sandboxes for today. At least every day you will get it. But if any particular exercise which you are trying to focus and you wanted some particular sandbox environment to work with it, then this is something what you can do, that open the Microsoft Learn portal, log in with your credential, and then you need to activate this particular sandbox environment. Once the sandbox environment is enabled, it is applicable or available for at least minimum 3 to 4 hours. Okay, so I started like long back, so it is showing me 3 hours 15 minutes left. But in general, you will get around like 4 hours of duration for connecting and working with this particular sandbox environment. So in case any of this hands-on exercise which you are getting started, you will follow these particular steps, and at the end of the day, it will allow you to create that particular activity. So first thing in place, create that sandbox environment, configure it, and initially it may ask you regarding the permission. Okay, so this is your permission to connect and access the account and retrieve the sandbox environment with your particular credential what you have provided. So this is like initial permission. Okay, so you don't need any specific other stuff to be executed and all. So initially you can go ahead and provide this. Of course, I suggest that you need your Azure subscription also in place, because safer side when we are going ahead with it. So we will be pushing certain data sets into the system. Okay, so we will be creating custom Vision AI service, and later stage you will be pushing certain photographs, and probably at the end of the entire exercise you will be publishing your own particular AI based model on top of it. Okay, so to do so, you need that subscriptions and other stuff. So if you see in my environment, what I did, I have my particular Azure subscriptions in place. I have created my custom Vision AI. So if you can search over here, custom Vision AI. So as I said that right now, let's say I have created, but just to give you overview. So whenever I'm looking at my custom Vision API, so basically there are two options are given, like whether you are looking for prediction based or training based model to be component, and all that particular options to be figured out. So what this two particular component do, this two component gonna provide some predefined models into the system. So in case any predictive activity you are planning to do, right? So as I mentioned that they are like pre-trained models where you upload your photographs and then you provide the execution. So accordingly it will get trained and all. So you will be considering at least either one of them, or you can go ahead with both the component to be provisioned, right? So in my exercise, I have selected both. Now, the important factor is that while creating the services, you will be end up selecting region, the name of that particular services, and most important factor is the pricing tier. So this is something available as in free tier as well. So of course, I mean, you will be able to create at least two transactions per second, and you can have like two projects to be created under free tier. Sorry. You can create as many as projects if you are looking at standard service tier. What here it's given as in pricing tier. So if you're looking for more particular service tier to be executed, then that is something you can do it. But as of now, for our exercise, or just to save cost point of view, we will be going ahead with this one, and we wanted that the sex activity will be done with free tier. So that is applicable for your training resource and as well as prediction resource, right? So in both the case, we will be going ahead with the free tier. Now, rest of the configuration, right now we wanted this particular services to be connected and accessed via our own solution only. So right now we can keep it all network. Otherwise, from the enterprise point of view, right? So for example, there are many enterprises who wanted their, so right now we are doing it this image prediction, but maybe if any other data incoming, let's assume that we have some medical reports or maybe photographs some particular disease, or maybe you can consider that some landmarks we wanted to capture, and we need to consider that if this is something available, then we consider that maybe soil or anything. I mean, you can think about like variety of classifications, and then you can probably process that data. Now, if I wanted to do that, being enterprise, I don't want to go outside of my network. I wanted to consume this information within my own enterprise network. Then definitely you have a choice of selecting your own personal network, or maybe established from Azure to on-premise to cloud. So that kind of like network endpoints you can create it. So right now we will be going ahead with common one, and then last but not least, you can just simply click on review and create. Now in this case, what I have done, I have created my both the API or both the AI custom vision AI services in cloud. So this particular custom vision, compute vision, or face API, there are different vision APIs are there. Now out of this, we are going ahead with custom vision, and we are having this two component are part of it. Now once this is done, you will be creating a particular projects over here. Okay, so for example, right now we are having certain kind of configurations available in terms of portal. So here custom vision AI has a projects option available. So you will be able to create a project, and this project creation is allowing you that what kind of project type you are expecting, whether it's a classification, whether it's a object detection, what kind of algorithm and process we are trying to follow over here, right? So I think there was a question in a chat that do we get a particular algorithms well in advance or kind of stuff, right? So to answer to your question, here is the option available that what kind of predictions we are expecting into the system. So based on that, I can get certain kind of activity, and I just need to process my particular backend on the basis of this. So here, what is the objective that we want to take care of it? So it will be a kind of option where I can say, in terms of connecting and accessing my built-in process type of machine learning and training my models and all that. So initially you will be giving your project name, descriptions, what kind of resources you are planning to execute and all, right? So the free service tier, what we have, vision service, what we have created, it is something gets selected, and classification which we are trying to go ahead. So right now I'll be going ahead with classification based process, multi-class like single tag per image. So I wanted to attach a tag to each and every single image which is getting uploaded. So whenever I wanted to train my model, it will pick up that particular image, it will pick up the tag associated to that, and then when I'm testing my particular data, I'll be passing those particular information at the backend. So you will be creating that specific project. Now what kind of exact data it is, right? So if you feel that you wanted to provide certain kind of domain specific information or data to be uploaded into the system, or images to be uploaded into the system, you can select specific category as well. Now if there is no category fall into your requirement, you can just say general one, and you can create your particular project. Now in my case, I have created one particular project with birds. Okay, classify bird, that's my project name. And inside this classify birds, I have uploaded certain images inside this. Okay, so by default, as soon as you create your particular component, you have option of uploading images, and also there are multiple image and photographs are available ready to use in your exercise. So if you are going ahead with this particular steps and all, right, if you are following these particular steps after logging in, you will get those particular steps to be followed, right? So it will be like custom vision project AI link given to you. You will be downloading the photographs. Okay, so there will be a dataset zip given to you, and via downloading that particular dataset zip, you will be having a lot of photographs to be available on your local machine, and you will be uploading those photographs into the system. Now, while we are uploading, we are just going to tag those particular photographs. So right now I have just given name as an American crow, and later stage it will be like performing your API creations, attaching it this particular service to your account and all that stuff you will be able to perform. So it's more about like a custom Vision SDK to upload the images. So if you are working, let's say from the portal, then you have an option. You can just simply go ahead and upload the images from the portal UI itself. Second way is to do it that you develop your own custom Vision AI, and you can build the algorithm, and from local machine also you can keep pushing your particular data. Now this is something useful for considering the different scenario, right? So basically, let's assume that I'm not going to connect portal all the time, but still I wanted my code to connect and push my data into the system, because I wanted offline access, so that as soon as I trigger my script, it will keep pushing my particular images into the system. So in that case, you have a custom Vision SDK also available, which will allow you to create your own structure of the code and everything. And you need this key parameter value to connect with your particular Vision API, so that as soon as you run the code, it will start asking you that from where you want to upload the photographs and all that, and you can push your particular photographs from your local machine via script as well. So it will be a kind of activity which you are planning to follow in terms of pushing your photographs into the system to train the model and all, right? So now in my case, the data is up, it is up and running into the particular system itself. So what we need to do is that we just need to train our model, and we need to consider that how the entire activity looks like once the images has been uploaded. So we wanted to make sure that my data has been trained, and it should give me certain kind of valid result. So to do that, here is your particular photographs and images already uploaded. So you have a train option. I can simply click on train and say quick training. Now, if you are selecting advanced training, right, and say for example, if you have any specific accuracy, what you are expecting and all that stuff, then you can simply go ahead with advanced training, and then it will perform some additional task on top of it. But right now for my exercise, we will go ahead with quick training and say train. So what it does, so there is a tag. Maybe we can upload the other images as well. So in this, basically, you just need to upload the sufficient data, so that when we go ahead with the train, let's see if this works. Yeah. So if it is a single model, then definitely it will be a challenging that under what circumstances you wanted to train your model and collect the information, or what precision we are expecting and all, right? So right now, this begins with iteration one. It will basically capture the data It is comparing my two component. Right now I have uploaded American Crow and American uh, that other particular Robin component, and I mean up to you, like as many as photographs you wanted to upload, and then you wanted that calculations to be rendered. So what this model gonna do, it will upload the photographs, it will train the images based on the tags what we have added and images what we have added, and it will respond back with the precision at the end of the entire exercise. So that will help you in terms of validating that if you are uploading any particular photographs at the end of the model execution, right? So maybe you are looking for precision, right? So I can say if my model predicts a tag, let's say American Crow or American Robin, then it will show me that how likely the photograph which I have uploaded, it is something predicted, or it is something precise to the image, or a different angle of photographs what we have uploaded into the model to train that particular activity. So it will go ahead and access that particular data. Basically, variety of metrics will get compared into this whenever you upload the photographs, right? So just make sure that when we are pushing this particular photographs, mostly like you can say the particular different pose or different particular photograph capture of vision what we have got it for those particular data models, that is something we are pushing it in the right way. Now this may take few minutes because you can imagine that around 119 photo, 120 photo, so it will go through each photographs. It will capture the photograph standards. It will try to train the model with the backend service. It will make sure that whatever the photographs we have uploaded, it will capture that particular data, and then it will try to give you certain kind of information at the end. So you have an option into the system itself that where we can upload the photographs and we can test that particular information from the environment itself, so that at the end of the day, within the studio itself, then into the custom vision studio itself, we have that particular testing option. So once this model is trained and ready, we will get this quick test option enabled. So right now it's disabled because right now this model is like getting prepared. And once this is prepared, then we will be pushing the photographs, and last but not least, we will be getting publish option as well. So right now, basically it's just the fix, or maybe you can say the process is still going on. But once the data is in system, we will get the option. This iteration gonna help us to there will be another link will be created as in publish. So we can publish this model. You can call this particular API in your programming language or in your systems or wherever you want it. And it will be giving you a kind of options to play around with the services. So ultimate goal over here is that it is a kind of it is a kind of like standard way in terms of performing operational activity. And if you are willing to perform any custom vision built-in AI ML kind of operation, then it will give you certain kind of result at the end of the day. So here, if you see now, my precision has been triggered. So it's 100% precision it is giving me, right? So if I click on this quick test, and let's say upload the image or browse local files, maybe I can select any of this image, and it will show me that it's American Robin, 99.9% it is matching, and American Crow it's 0%, right? Same thing. We can try it with any existing image what I have. And here it will show me that what is the tag precision we are getting it at the end of the day, right? So it will be a kind of standard way in terms of pushing your particular images, and this image could be from anything, right? I mean, this image may come from your any web URL, or from wherever you wanted. You can pass that image URL captured from anywhere, and then you get certain type of result at the end of the day. And you can have as many as iteration also you wanted. So let's imagine that tomorrow, today you have got 100 photographs, but tomorrow you may come up with some additional input from your business and say, I wanted to push that data, and if I'm capturing this information or uploading another set of bird or another set of particular you can say the species, then I can upload those data, and that way maybe I can have more iterations to be captured and all. Now, once this iteration is in place, as I said, you have an option to publish this. Okay. So in general, of course, you have a prediction URL also available, right? So if you have any specific image URL and all that, and you just wanted to push it into this, maybe you can get that. But right now we just are have a published model. So here it will be allowing you that selecting your prediction one. This is my iteration. You can provide model name, that what kind of model you are planning to publish, and accordingly you will be able to execute this particular activity. So I can say uh, bird custom vision model and say publish. So at the end of the publish, you will get the prediction URL and all, right? So here it is your particular prediction URL given to you. And going forward, if I'm planning to call these particular services in my application code or in my particular API calling and all, so I can consume these particular API or I can consume this particular value somewhere in my system. So let's assume that, let me copy this particular data somewhere in my text edit. So this is my URL. This is my particular prediction key or content type and all that. So I can just simply have this particular data to be pushed into my system, right? Now, what's the next step? How can I access my particular services? How can I get the execution of this particular activity? So in this case, if I go back to my Azure portal, where I have my prediction services to be exported, right? So here is my prediction component of it. And from the prediction services, you will be getting a particular quick start deployment of this particular service as well, right? So if in case I'm planning to go ahead and host this particular activity, so it may allow you to access this particular service, and then you can have certain kind of activity to be taken care, right? So ultimate goal over here is to provide you a kind of activity to be followed, right? So here is the get started, and in the section number 3 we have Python quick start. So I can click on this, right? So this will basically take you to the step-by-step activity, that if in case I'm planning to deploy this with the help of Python, then what are the things we need to follow up, right? So you will be creating a particular API apps, right? You will be creating that particular application. You will be creating that particular services out of the box. And based on that, you will be working with Visual Studio applications development environment, and at the end of the day you will be dumping this particular entire API into the system. Okay, so here what is expected for the entire solution at last, that you will be creating this particular machine learning model, you will be deploying your model, you will be checking the activity, and last but not least, for testing the model perspective, this is the last step where you will be publishing your particular Python application as an app service into the system, right? So here is the sample code given. Now, three important property what we need to change over here, that those three properties are my prediction key, which we have taken, the endpoint URL, which is something going to be modified, and the base path to your image folder, because from where you are uploading your images and all. So you may provide your base path of the image, maybe a local folder or something like that, and it is basically executing your entire functional task where the photographs gets uploaded into the system and it will test that entire workflow into the precision and all that. So ultimately it will be deployed as an application, and at the end of this entire exercise you will be able to test that API, and next time onwards anything you wanted to call, just make a call of this API, provide the input of the photographs, and it will give you certain kind of activity. Now, this is one part of it. If I'm considering this particular architecture, so in this particular architecture going forward, it may be possible that right now I have this particular data to be published and uploaded into my particular API, right? So that is something by default available over here. But let's assume that you may have a web application, okay, the interface probably, where you might be deploying some sort of user interface, and I would like to create a application, and this app is basically published for photographers, right? So people who are going for wild safari photographing and all that. So I'm giving them a particular user interface where they wanted to validate that what kind of bird pictures they have captured, and based on that maybe they will get some award or recognition kind of thing, right? So if they find out certain kind of rare species or certain kind of particular birds and all, so they can upload the photographs. Behind the scene it will call this particular API, okay, and according to the photograph, maybe they upload the image path, they can provide a tag to that particular photograph, that what kind of image it is, right? And when they submit this particular activity, uh, they will be able to see the result, that whatever the photographs they have uploaded, whatever the name they have given to that particular photographs, whether it is matching with the specific accuracy or not, right? So they will get certain type of data, and if it is matching with the accuracy, maybe we can have some further process to be associated with it. So ultimate goal over here is to provide you a kind of well-defined approach in terms of building your machine learning model, the built-in ecosystem activity, and you may end up providing certain kind of data set to the system, and at the end of the day maybe this processes will be like triggered and executed at the end of that particular output, right? So it's a kind of extensive way in terms of exposing your machine learning model. It is like if you have seen in an hour, we have just created a simple but complex model, and basically that specific model we have created and uploaded that particular API over here, right? So it's a kind of standard approach where we can follow and create certain kind of structure, the AI/ML model, and probably we can put it in a work and kind of solutions what we can build at the end of the day, right? So this is how your entire classification of the bird, what we are considering as an entire activity where we have classified the bird species via custom vision, you can say machine learning model, and that's where we got the result. Yeah. So I think that's all from my end, and I encourage all of you guys to go through with this particular exercise. It is pretty much simple, straightforward. You get that particular ML, AI ML models, and you just need to create that particular activity. So at the back end, you can have a kind of standard outcome at the end of that particular exercise. Yeah. So any questions or queries so far in terms of performing this activity? If you're willing to go ahead, then how you gonna do it, what you gonna do it, and if you have any questions, you are feel free to go ahead with that.
So, on a personal level, can I operate the full model on a free tier basis if I have my own database of multiple images?
Yeah, definitely. So right now, if you see the current machine learning model, what we have seen, it was like your own particular database of photographs. So whatever the information I have received, I can just like I have just pushed it into the system, and I am getting that particular result at the end of the day. So of course, I mean, you have a visibility towards your own custom data model, and that's something you can push it into the system. So there is no limitation as such.
Okay, and if I need to expose that to public and my friends, that would need a bigger subscription out there.
That too, I can consider that if you are going ahead with a web app, right? So, for example, currently the last Python application which I was showing, so maybe you can build and deploy web app as a free tier as well, because Azure is offering you a web app as a free tier. The only thing is that it will not cover up any specific SLA. Okay, so maybe if you're looking at that highly available web app and all that, then probably definitely you need subscription in place, and with the help of that subscription you can publish such applications or user interface for your friends, relatives, and for all of them. So that basically you need to take care of it.
Yeah, but the backend itself wouldn't be any chargeable. It can still be usable in the free tier.
Correct, correct, correct. So right now, as per the service tier limitation, say for example, how many call you can make it, how many projects you can create, and how many like per second, how many iterations you can do it. So those kind of limitations, what we need to think through. So that's the only limitation when we are going ahead with the free tier, because it is coming up with some particular quota and limits. Yep. Okay.
So if I have more transactions, it will just go up and maybe throttle the solution, but build up the uh, bring my app down or try to move the app to a higher tier, right?
Correct. Correct. Correct.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
Yep. So yeah, looking forward from all of you guys to give it a try. To the example, log into the MS Learn portal and go through with this exercise. You get that particular sandbox environment also to be created and perform this particular operational activity on top of it. So it will be available for next 4 hours. I mean, since the time you create, it will be available for 4 hours. It's not that from now onwards, but yeah, that's where you can get started with your journey and work with this kind of activities to create certain kind of solution. So as I gave example of that, the user interface where photographers can upload, or maybe a variety of activities we can have it in place. So kind of options you can think through. Yeah. So that's all. Yeah, Prashmit, I'm good. If no further any questions.
Sure, Jigar. And also, folks, you can get in touch with him. You'll get his social handles on the meetup page. So in case if you have any questions later on, you can also reach out to him and, ask question. Uh,
Absolutely.
yeah, so all the social handles would be there on the meetup page itself. Okay, great. I think we can wrap up today's session. Thank you so much, Jigar, and thank you all for joining us today. Please feel free to share your feedback about today's session. Also, please use the Learn module link shared in the chat section. This will give you access to additional resources to take your learning further. Also, please visit our Microsoft Reactor Bengaluru meetup page. Uh, we are having a lot more interesting sessions that it's there. So please go through the website and register for the session you might like. Thank you all once again and enjoy the rest of your day.
Yep. Thank you.